cops say, can we trust them? I hate the police. No, do you know what's so funny? When we were doing the hate crime training, I got really paranoid every time I saw a police officer. Because I was like, they know I'm making videos about them.
Oh,
They're going to come get me.
I felt like there was some secret solidarity there from officers, you know.
Oh, you
What
reckon?
we were up to.
Yeah,
Why
you
is that?
reckon?
Because it just makes their work harder.
I think a lot of cops just thought it was completely over the top, unnecessary, you know,
Yeah.
a waste of their time.
Yeah.
Didn't stop them from implementing it though, did it?
Well, no, but I mean, it's a chain of command, isn't it?
Do as you're told.
Who's making the calls at the
Yeah,
top?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what they said in Germany, innit?
That
That's literally what they said. Oh, they're
Are
amazing.
you comparing the New Zealand
What's
police to
going on?
Nazis?
I never said Nazis. I said Germany. Germany's got a great history, mate. A lot of stuff happened in Germany. Why'd you automatically go there?
What's the best thing that's come out of Germany?
The best thing? Volkswagen. Mate.
Who,
Take- you ever seen the
who
Tig
made?
one?
Who made?
Yeah.
You ever seen the
Volkswagen?
TIG one?
No,
We
I
actually
haven't.
know a guy's got a very nice TIG one, don't we?
Do we?
Pulled,
we
up,
do.
pulled up on Friday and it's
Yes,
TIG one.
I do know him.
I have to confess, I did own a Volkswagen for about 3 months, but the engine blew up, and I had to go through the small claims court.
Yeah.
In order to
Really?
Get, motor vehicle disputes tribunal, whatever it's called.
So you took
Oh.
Volkswagen to court?
No, I took the dealer, the second-hand dealer.
Oh, the dealer.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I won.
Oh, well done.
How much you get?
But I loved. Can I just say, I loved the Volkswagen in terms of driving it.
What model
Really?
did you have?
Yeah.
I can't remember now.
Not a TIG one, I bet.
It was a variation of the Golf, but it was a wagon.
Golf's pretty reliable. I think, yeah.
Well, that's what I kept being told by people that had them, and then I got mine, and 3 months later.
The
Anyway,
more I hear it, sounds like a bit of a user issue.
moral of the story is,
Sounds like a you problem.
Very
It's like a you thing.
like high performance in a sense. Like it feels like a high performance car, even though it's obviously middle of the range. But actually,
Geez, I wish a Golf was middle of the range in my economy. Luxury nowadays,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
well, yeah, sure. I mean,
Luxury.
I don't have a luxury car now, but
What else can we expect from a man who's used to sailboats in the Greek islands, though? You know,
well, none of these things I've actually owned. Right? They were other people's boats. I was working for
You just
them.
lived.
You,
I've-
don't,
I've-
you don't get paid a lot when you're a crew member.
I've
so
heard
I'm
it said
just
the
saying.
best boat is someone else's boat because the cost of owning a boat is so expensive. So when I drive past a house and I see a boat in someone's drive, I'm like, wish I knew them. I never think, I wish I had
want a-
that boat.
I want a boat.
The rule of thumb when you own a yacht is that it's going to cost you per annum 15% of that boat's value
Jesus.
Sheesh.
just to maintain the service and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And yachts are expensive, as Arian informed me a few months ago.
Did yeah. You were like, I think that one's 100K.
Yeah, maybe 100,000.
And then we
for
looked
that.
at it. It was like 3 mil or something.
I don't move in those circles though. I don't move in the
Yeah,
high
yeah,
net worth
yeah,
circles.
I don't.
I'm a
believe it.
common man. Do common things. Live in my house with my family, and you know, if I lived on an estate, mate, I might know it, but I don't know. So it is what it is. If I was from oil
Very,
money,
very pointed.
if I was
Yeah,
from
yeah.
oil money,
I wish I was from oil money.
Oh.
I'm applying for the oil money. I wish I.
I'd say that's a gross stereotype
is it?
of
Yeah.
all of Iranian people.
We do more than oil.
Yeah.
They
What else?
smuggle it.
Yeah.
What else?
We do weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah,
we do
yeah.
Hey, allegedly.
saffron, actually. Saffron.
Saffron's a big industry.
More
huge.
expensive than gold, right? Per ounce.
Okay, I don't get it. I had some saffron when I was in India. It's disgusting.
Oh,
Why do people
no,
love it?
No, no,
What
no,
is this
it's
about?
not- This is
I-
just typical Westerner not knowing how to use it. or
I was
consume
in,
it.
I was in India.
No, yeah, they don't know either.
Wow.
It
I- I will-
makes
I'll bring you
stuff look
saffron.
cool, right?
1.4
It
billion
makes it
people
kinda
take
global.
that.
It does. Pardon?
Take that, you 1.4 billion Indians. Arian says you don't know
Yeah,
how to use
they
saffron.
don't know. They don't. And I will prepare something for you.
I don't
with
want to
saffron.
waste your valuable commodities.
No,
Yeah, you
like,
see-
we come from saffron money.
Iranians can insult Indians because there's like Afghanistan and Pakistan in
Yeah.
between, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
As
they've
in
got-
they're
they're
too far away to.
too far away to reach you.
Well, the Indians have much to owe the Iranians. There's the Parsi people who actually originate from Iran, so they can thank us later.
Have you been to India?
Nah,
You've been, eh?
I've been a couple of times, yeah.
been everywhere.
Mate, I was... You remember, I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I loved India.
Everyone says that. Did you think you would love it before you?
I
went?
thought I was going to hate it. And there were parts that were tricky, like for sure. Like for one, they're not used to seeing such a big person. So like everywhere we went,
Yeah, but I mean,
they
they
wanted.
venerated you, right?
Yeah, well, they took photos with me. I had little kids lining up for photos.
So funny, bro.
That's cool.
A mob at one point formed around me, and they were trying to get me to do this political chant. But everything, and that wasn't bad or anything, but
No.
everything about India, from like, oh mate, we went to the Taj Mahal. I'm so irreverent. I was like, oh, this is going to be just a normal building.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like pretty amazed at.
Really?
So I haven't seen the Taj Mahal. I mean, I've been quite a few places in India, and I mean, having done it at 2 different times, it was a period where, and I'm assuming this is still the case. It was a period where there was rapid growth, rapid change. Modernization was like really becoming apparent.
Wow.
But having said that, I also spent time outside of the cities in very poor rural areas, especially in the southeast. And what I realized is there's this massive divide. There's still a huge number of people
Yes, 100%.
who are living in rural poverty. And then in the cities too, of course, there's a huge amount of people in poverty living in slums and that kind of thing. So, I mean, yes, there's a huge middle class. There's this sort of booming middle class that's emerged.
I think they moved 2 million people out of middle class in like a calendar year because of regulatory changes around being a street vendor.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
When we were there, they did a big talk about how they were shifting a lot of people out of poverty. It was pretty amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to some degree, it's relative because you can be middle class there and yet obviously not middle class in the West, for instance. The living standard and just sort of the income per capita is not the same. But I was pretty stunned in the few years between the 2 visits that I made.
Wow.
The rapid changes, really dramatic changes.
Speaking of rapid changes, immigration, am I right?
You are right.
Am I right?
You're very right.
That is a thing. That is a thing. Yes.
It's sounding very right.
I thought that would be a more smooth segue there.
There was no value statement attached to that. It was just
very
I was
very
just throwing it out
ambiguous.
there. I want to see how you guys feel about it,
About
before
immigration?
before I go mask off.
having immigrated to this country.
Yeah, all right, having immigrated
As an immigrant,
as a dual citizen.
I'm very fond of. Well, actually, I'm not very fond, but I think you can have a very smart immigration policy, especially when your birth rate is below replacement. You can also have a very not very smart immigration policy where you let in anyone and everyone. I don't think that's particularly an issue for us here in New Zealand because
I was going to say this. Do you think a lot of our sentiment towards immigration is adopted from nations that have bordering nations? Like we're like really negative. Well, I feel like there's a lot of negativity and hesitancy towards immigration. Some of it justified, but a lot of it is like it's quite hard to get to New Zealand. You do have to jump through a whole lot of hoops before you actually arrive here. So, I mean, is some of this fear unfounded, or is some of this like hesitancy or negativity towards immigration, is it like irrational and borrowed from other nations that have bordering nations?
My sense of it is that New Zealand is still pretty moderate, pretty tolerant towards new arrivals. Yeah, I mean, you can go to parts of Europe where there's incredibly sharp divides between sort of the native citizenry and the immigrant populations. You look at France, there's a really seriously growing sort of problem there. Same in Germany, Belgium.
In Germany, they're like blasting them with water cannons.
Yeah, but I mean, you think
in
about
Poland as well.
under Angela Merkel, I mean, there were more than 1 million, people from places like Syria.
Yeah.
There's a huge Turkish population that's been growing for many, many years. But I mean, just the Syrian refugees that came in under that short sort of period, it's a massive number of people to introduce to your country. We think we have a really large, sort of immigration influx, but
Compared
to these places,
nothing.
It's peanuts.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone recently about whether or not you should be able to serve in politics or like government if you're a dual citizen, and they were opposed to it. I wouldn't actually disagree myself, but what do you feel around this?
Should you be able to serve in government? If
should you hold a position of in office if you're a dual citizen, or should you have to renounce a citizenship? It's a conversation that I've seen in the US, and someone sort of introduced it into the New Zealand context with me recently. And I thought, actually, I do kind of agree that I think you should be singular citizen of New Zealand if you want to be in our parliament or part of or hold a political office in a sense. Even a list MP, like I would be hesitant to have dual citizenship in those positions.
Would it depend on the country that you're a dual citizen of, or regardless?
I'm not
of
going to play
whether...
that game. Come on.
No, well,
You can make a
it
list
matters.
of our
If they're an
favourites.
ally,
It could make a difference. It could make a difference.
if it's like an Aussie and a New Zealand, like if you're Aussie,
Just pick one.
Is that So my criteria, my standard would be that if you swear an oath of allegiance to a parliament, to government of a particular nation, then that does take priority over any other allegiance.
But what are you swearing it on though? Like what
The
on the
Bible,
Bible?
the Quran.
So any text as well, like can be any. They can affiliate with any text, or should the country have a constitution that we agree to? Like you said the other day when we were chatting about New Zealand First Day wanted to add in a New Zealand
Values-based
charter thing
for immigration that you
for
adhere
immigration.
to, I think.
You don't think it'll work, and I agree with you there as well.
So what I mean is that anyone that serves in our parliament has to undertake swear this oath. So it's a bit like swearing in court that you're going to tell the truth, right? To me, if you do that, then you need to be held accountable. You've given your word, you need to live by it. So if you do that, then why can't that country hold you accountable if you then violate that oath?
Yeah,
right. It's not enough to say, "Well, I swore another oath to another country," just didn't mention it.
Yeah.
Well, too bad. If you violated the constitution that you promised, to serve, or in our case, sort of a unwritten constitution, then it's still an oath. You can still be held accountable. That's my view.
Yeah.
So no dual citizenship.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you could be a citizen of two countries. Now, if you swear an oath though that conflicts with the other country, right, or conflicts with the oath that you might have given the other country. So let's say, for instance, that the oath is you have to obey that particular government, and if you don't,
I swear allegiance to the King of New Zealand. Is that, for example?
Yeah. So if that government tells you you need to do something and you've sworn an oath to them, then obviously it's on your conscience whether you do it or not. But can another country hold you in violation of their constitution if in serving the first country you go against their constitution or their values, right? Now, if you do that, you have to face the consequences.
Yeah.
The question is whether we have a blanket rule. I don't know that a blanket rule is going to change whether people are loyal to a country or not. I know I'm probably not making myself very clear here.
No, I think I understand. I think if I violate, I'll use myself as an example. Iran, because I'm a dual citizen of Iran. Yeah, I know. Sorry to break it to you now. If I join the parliament, if in serving the New Zealand parliament, I violate my swearing of allegiance, which I haven't made to Iran, for example, then is it right for Iran to then prosecute me?
So you're a citizen of Iran by birth, aren't you? Because you were born there. So it isn't that you've actually voluntarily gone there and said, I want to become an Iranian citizen, and what do I need to do? How do I sign up? I think that's a bit different. Having said that, governments will do whatever they want to do in some of these instances, right? So I guess all I'm saying is that if you make a promise and then those people say, oh, we're going to hold you to it at some point, then that's on you. You have to figure out how you're going to navigate that and deal with it. If it means that it conflicts with another country that you also happen to be a citizen of, then don't be surprised if they come for you. Or if they expel you.
Also, the country that you're serving has to take that into account, right? Like, if
of course,
New Zealand has to take into account.
I think that's the point. As long as you're fully upfront and you disclose that I have these loyalties, right? So in my view, it's not now. If there's a clear clash and you've been upfront about it, then the country that is admitting you, whether it's as a citizen or even sort of beyond that as a member of that government, then or serving in their parliament, then you have, as long as you've disclosed that, then that country has to decide whether it wants you in that position, whether they think that you are a risk.
And also, I think that whether you have a citizenship, whether I have a citizenship of Iran or not, I can still go and serve. Having a passport doesn't necessarily mean that I suddenly I'm not a threat at all, right? Like I can have a New Zealand passport and only have a New Zealand passport and still pose a threat and be a sleeper cell and do things.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Maybe it's more performative, or it's
it sends a message though.
Yeah,
it sends a strong message.
I don't know. I would tend to think sure, we can make all these arguments, but it's like, why not just say at the outset, no dual citizenship, and if you want to be part of this, you can. You just have to renounce your other citizenship.
Yeah, my question would be, does that actually reduce cases of people being disloyal?
Yeah, to be honest, because that is true, right? The really motivated people are still gonna. They'll be like, all good.
I mean, the people that are going to be probably the worst problem
Yeah.
are the ones that never disclose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe it's a null problem, you know. Like,
Well, so there was an MP, and I'm trying to remember which party he was with. It might have been with New Zealand First. This is quite a few years ago. He was a Dutch citizen, and he also became a New Zealand citizen, and then he got into Parliament. What was his name? Harry something or other. That was a Dutch last name. There was a bit of a furore around this, case because he just hadn't thought to disclose this. Now, do we really think that Holland is going to be, equivalent to North Korea in terms of potential conflicts of interest? I don't think so. I didn't mention this at the start, but I'm also a UK citizen.
Oh, well done.
I'm a dual citizen of New Zealand and the
there you
UK.
go.
you've got your passport.
That's
I do.
sick.
I just need to renew it, but yeah. So the question is,
I think if you renew it, you get a digital one, don't you?
well,
UK.
do I want to? I actually was going to do it when I was in the UK just recently.
Caliphate of the United Kingdom.
I never got around to it.
Yeah.
No comment. I don't know. I'm still hedging on this. I guess I still think it comes back down to full disclosure. So if people are transparent about their allegiances, whether it's just a legal sort of connection to a country or some other kind of allegiance where perhaps there's a deeper sense of affinity with that place, that's each country has to decide whether they feel like that's going to be a problem or not.
So and this is completely not related, but kind of related in terms of the US.
Yeah.
Can't be the US president if you're not a US native born citizen.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you can't be a dual citizen.
You can't be, you can, because at the moment in New York, there's the mayoral race with Zoran, Magdani and Cuomo. And a lot of people are saying, if only Zoran wasn't, I think he's Ugandan, or he's...
Is it Obama, though?
He's of Indian ethnicity, right?
But his family fled from Uganda.
Yeah, during the Idi Amin.
Yeah. And I was listening to an interview that he did recently, and the people who were interviewing were like, wish that you were born here so you could be our president. And that's quite a scary thing considering what he represents and what he stands for. And it's kind of the safeguard against America. But being the mayor of New York is a pretty significant role.
Yeah.
One of the greatest cities in the world.
Yeah.
Sure.
Many people see it as like quite a powerful role in the US political landscape.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a financial capital, really, of the world. Isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
But why do we not bat an eyelid at? And this is the thing. This is kind of related, not super related, but none of us would dispute that rule of not allowing a non-native born US citizen to be president is like a bad rule.
I mean, New Zealand would have had to disqualify probably 50 years of prime ministers, from
the get-go.
from the 1850s onwards, right? When we first sort of started having political leaders.
Who was our first prime minister?
I'm trying to remember now.
I don't know.
I thought you'd know.
Who was the first prime minister? Julius Vogel was prime minister in the 1870s.
Ariane, pull that up.
Pull it
Was it Fox? Man, this is
Mind
shocking.
blank.
I'm a history teacher. I should know the
Mate,
answer.
go home right now. Get your masters.
Well, I can tell you.
Throw it
I
out.
can list a lot of them. Richard Seddon was in the 1890s.
Henry Sewell?
Oh, Sewell. Yeah, that's right.
Henry Sewell.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but
knew
we had Hobson, we had Gray, we had Fitzroy, we had those guys as governors, and then we gradually moved towards a sort of a more devolved system. But anyway, what was the question though? What was the
we don't bat an eyelid at the idea or at the rule that a non-native born US person that they're not allowed to be the president. Which I'm kind of loosely connecting to the idea that dual citizens can serve in government. Why do we think that the US's rule is really great, but we wouldn't bring a version of that rule to every level of government? Or do you think there should be a non?
Personally, I think there's a huge amount of talent that you exclude from that pool of candidates.
But why don't they go do it in their own country? Like, if they're that amazing, if there's a non-native born person in the US who's good enough to be the president of the US, why don't they go be the president of somewhere else like India?
What about refugees that have fled there? I mean, you think about some of the greatest, foreign policy experts. Think about the foreign secretary.
Which one?
Not the foreign secretary. What do they call it again? The Secretary of State. Henry Kissinger. He was a Jew from Germany, I think it was, who had fled, wartime Europe. Think about Bill Clinton's Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright. Same thing. She was, I think, a Hungarian Jew.
Both of these people were displaced by, I imagine their families displaced by the Holocaust, right?
Sure. But that's my point.
But they're not
Is there going to be
born.
Yeah, there are going to be exceptions like this that these people are like stellar talents, right?
And they didn't. And then I imagine when their families were displaced, Israel was not re-established at that point.
No, but I mean, I guess my point is that they served in some of the most sensitive kind of positions in the American government, advising on geopolitical issues.
You're really going to fire up all the conspiracy theorists now.
Well, sure, but I mean, I guess what I would come back to is the fact that loyalty is not based purely on where you're born.
It's values-based.
Yeah, I agree
with
that.
People can betray their own blood, their own kin. They can turn on their own country for the most venal purposes, venal reasons, like just a simple bribe.
And some of the people that cherish the values of a country, of a Western democracy, are often people who come from tyrannical places.
I agree.
And then they come to the US and think, wow, this is so beautiful. We have to uphold this, because if we don't, the commies are going to run over the place.
I had an Uber experience yesterday with a Kenyan guy. Funny.
Man.
So when you get an Uber, you don't know if you're going to talk to them, and some of them don't want to talk. Some of them are on the phone. I'm a fan of a quiet Uber drive, to be honest. I like a quiet drive.
You don't like being bothered.
Well, I don't want to make awkward small talk with them if they don't want to talk to me. And it's often a good opportunity to reply to a few messages, whatever.
Sure.
He immediately starts having a yarn, and he's like, hilarious. It's just straight out Kenyan. And then he's like, "Are you a Christian?" Because I said, "Oh, I dropped my son to school here. He goes to Elam." And he goes, "Oh, you're a Christian?" I said, "Yeah." And then he starts going on about Christianity. And it's awesome. And then he just goes full political rant about how amazing New Zealand is, how he could never live in Kenya again.
I love it.
And every time he goes back, and then I'm like, whoa, this is like amazing. And it's kind of what you're saying. He understood fully, and we talked about it in depth, how amazing New Zealand is and why he loves living here and why he never wants to go back to Kenya, not even to visit. He's like, every time I go back, how you doing? It's the worst. My family, I'm not bothered about seeing them. It was real funny. Yeah. And then,
well, Kenya's been through some strife in the last couple of decades.
Totally. Yeah. He's like taking shots at different parties for ruining New Zealand, in his opinion. He's like, these people are doing X, Y, Z. I don't want to say which ones, but the Greens. Anyway, he's like, what are they doing? It was just it was an awesome experience because obviously we've been talking a lot about New Zealand, how amazing our democracy is, how special it is. And it was cool to see in that moment. He's been here for 30 years, I should say, as well, but he still had the thickest African accent ever.
I love it.
I'm just lucky I've spoken to a lot of African people.
That you could understand them.
Translated, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to do the accent because I leave the African accents to you, Arian. I know you love to do those. And Nick, you're obviously an accent expert as well. But no, it was cool. It was cool. It was a little reminder that people, like you say, do come here for something better. Yeah. And I've been pushing you guys on this rhetoric that I bring forward.
I would just add that I don't believe that virtue is inherited, sort of by it's like not something that you get through the blood, right? Through your DNA. That virtue, loyalty to ideals, to principles, decisions that are made by an individual in their moment in time, at that point in time, that generation. If it wasn't the case, then we wouldn't see countries like Germany turn around and Japan turn around in terms of the ethics, the beliefs, the principles that they hold to, like around, say, democracy, around the rule of law, around sort of the equality of citizens under the law. So, I think for me, it's not a nativist argument. It's not about blood.
It's values. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Creed.
Colorblind, as Coleman Haynes likes to say.
Yeah.
Have you listened to him? Coleman Hughes?
Yeah. Coleman Hughes, yeah.
Coleman Hughes, yeah. I quite enjoy his conversation around that colorblind society.
Well, they say that the West, and I don't like talking about the West, but the West is credo-centric. It's like it's based on a set of values, so it doesn't really matter what you look like.
Well, at its best, it is. Right?
At its best, 100%. Whereas the East or the other side is ethnocentric. It's you look like us, you're one of us. This is it. And what makes the West a thriving place, I think, is that we've held to a set of values, and I think it goes back to your earlier comment on immigration. It's like they talk about cultural diversity. I don't think cultural diversity doesn't necessarily work depending on what your definition of culture is. You can have racial diversity, people can look different, but your culture has to be, like what you're saying, built on this idea that the rule of law matters, the dignity of others matter. Because if you have competing cultures that see things completely differently, then you have a disintegrated society and it doesn't function as well.
Totally. But do you know what you just said there will get so much backlash? We'll get so much backlash when I publish this around the whole idea of cultural diversity and racial diversity. Because I would totally agree with you. I'm the son of an immigrant who came to New Zealand for all the opportunities that New Zealand offered him.
So am I. Yeah.
And so are you. And you immigrated here, right?
Yeah.
So, but all of us are examples of people who appreciate the system that we're a part of, the nation that we're a part of, the values and processes that make it amazing.
Yeah.
There does seem to be like a big push, though, even at our government level, to be culturally embracing of multiple different cultures that don't actually embrace the system that upholds the government.
We were talking about this, was it yesterday or maybe last week, but I talked about multiculturalism, and I realized afterwards that I misspoke, like, because I don't actually believe that multiculturalism as such is a good or a bad thing, in the sense that you could have cultures that are based on something foundational, but they diverge over time in more superficial ways, but they still kind of have a similar worldview.
Exactly.
But you could have, so I'll give you an example. In Europe, you've got people in the EU who, despite the fact that they've had some nasty conflicts in the past century or so, have still found that there are some common values that they could subscribe to, because that was there in their heritage. But if you introduce a culture that comes from a very different worldview, then you're probably more likely going to see greater friction.
But would you say that that's more clearly articulated in the divide between a left and a right political leaning than it is cultural differences? Because what you're saying is underpinning it all is the same morals or value set of culture, but then political ideologies come out of that, which create a divide. Or you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I think two things can be true at once in this case, and I think that, so for instance, people will go, well, hold on, World War II, for instance, was an ideological war, right, between this concept of racial supremacy and fascism, as opposed to sort of this liberal democratic view that people should be treated, equally under the law, that there was inherent dignity, that race didn't determine your worth. They had this huge conflict, and this resulted in tens of millions of people dying. That, to some degree, is actually irrelevant to what we're talking about, because it wasn't a case of a new culture coming from the outside in. It was a case of a new culture emerging from within.
From within.
Or at least there were these ideas had been around for a long time, but they gained greater traction, and those who really took them seriously, like the Nazi Party, managed to get hold of power, take hold of power, and then kind of impose it on society and indoctrinate. So I think it's a huge warning and it's a huge lesson from history, but it's not quite the same thing as what we're talking about. And I think that you're right in the sense of there's the right-left political divide to take into account as well. But just to kind of the elephant in the room when you're talking about this topic is what's happening in Europe, particularly with Islamic migrants coming in. And I was going to say before, like, some of the people that I've met in the UK, for instance, who were themselves immigrants who had come from, say, Pakistan and were Muslim. Yes, they brought certain values, they brought certain ideas. But interestingly, there was a period of time, and I've talked to a few people from this era, they came to the UK because they wanted something different. They didn't abandon everything that they knew in Pakistan. Yes, they brought a lot of the cultural sort of expression, interestingly, sometimes it was their kids who were born in the UK and raised in the UK, but had this connection through their parents to the sort of ancestral culture. They were sometimes the ones who, rather than kind of liberalized further than their parents, actually became more conservative, more hardline around, say, religion and around culture.
Oh, wow.
That's really interesting because I would actually say I've observed that as well in the Pacific community.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
There's this
In a search for identity.
in a
right?
search for identity. There is this
Whoa.
idolatry that is formed around their culture, and people work really hard to get back to what they believe is their identity, their roots. And in an attempt to do so, they actually walk back from all that their parents brought them here
Yeah,
for.
wow. Wow.
And they become really culturally indoctrinated. They become overly, what's the word I'm looking for? They become authoritarian in a sense over the people who share the same DNA. Yeah. And that's an interesting point you point out.
I think there could be a nostalgia for something that you actually never knew.
Exactly.
It's a sort of an imagined, idealized version of what you kind of, associate positively with, say, your parents, right? You think, oh, it must have been great because I love my parents, and my parents are good people, and they came from, say, Pakistan, or they came from wherever, and therefore I need to lionize or idealize their culture, and that's what we need more of here. And the reality is, I think a lot of those parents would have said, yeah, but at the same time, we left for a reason. We wanted you guys to have certain opportunities that you wouldn't have had there.
I want to ask you a question about something you just said about Germany as well, just a step back. You said that a culture rose up within. And the question, I suppose, is the terms of reference: culture, political ideology, whatever you want to call it. It was a political ideology that became so strong that it became culture, right?
Yeah. Well, so I would say, first of all, that, this racial supremacy sort of ideology has long roots in sort of the Germanic culture and traditions. Sadly, anti-Semitism has had a very long sort of gestational history.
History is rife with it.
Absolutely.
Continually the scapegoats of history.
Particularly in Germany or in German-speaking countries in Europe.
I'll just stop. I just want to say one thing really quickly. There's this joke that's going around where it's like, oh, what would you do if your friend got kicked out of 109 bars? And it's a joke about how Jews have been expelled or kicked out of 109 countries throughout history.
Right.
And it was really popular with a lot of anti-Semitic commentators online, and they were saying it everywhere and giving it to young people. And young people,
it's like, whose fault is it
whose
if you're
fault is
getting
it if you
kicked
get
out
kicked out of
of
109 bars? Is it your friend, or is it the 109 bars? And young people were like really falling for it and being like, oh yeah, they must have done something.
Well, because it's a false analogy, right?
And I was like,
Lacks
what the
context.
heck? Like, if you look through history and you actually look at these expulsions and these sort of heinous crimes that are carried out against one small ethnic minority, consistently they're being scapegoated for things, they're being blamed for things, they're an easy target.
Yeah.
But the whole idea that it's them, that it's these people, like you're saying, it's got deep roots, right?
I mean, these people are talking about decolonizing. You could use the same sort of argument when it comes to countries that were colonized by, say, the British. So, well, they were colonized and they spent all this time under colonial rulers. There must be something deficient with this colonized people. Well, why? It's the reality is, if you believe that injustice occurs in the world, and clearly people that are arguing for decolonization believe that there was injustice in the past, then it can't just be that you're deficient because you ended up getting you got the raw end of the deal.
Yeah.
Right. It's just illogical, but that characterizes so many of the claims and so-called arguments that people make coming from this kind of worldview.
Oh, I couldn't believe the rise of anti-Semitism that we saw online. That was just really lazy in terms of its thinking, and how many people were falling for it. Even honestly, we're going to get comments on this. Sure. We get so many comments that are anti-Israel, anti-Jewish. So someone commented this morning and said, the video wasn't even anything to do with Israel. They go, it's always the Jews. What? And I was like, what is always the Jews?
I guess, again, though, are these bots that we're talking about?
Maybe.
We honestly are getting bots.
Qatari bots, yeah.
But that's not to say that there hasn't been a scary
human
increase in anti-Semitic sentiment and expression. But I mean, I think a lot of people are being anti-Semitic without understanding what it means to be anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
That's not to absolve them of responsibility for what they say and do, but I think a lot of people didn't understand anti-Semitism before what happened with October 7th and everything that's occurred in the aftermath. And so I think a whole generation of people,
Yeah.
young people especially, have been vulnerable to this type of pseudo kind of argument.
I do just want to play maybe the other side a little bit as well now, though.
Okay,
and
Tucker,
be very
go.
careful.
Please,
Tucker.
go ahead.
Do you
Or
think
shall I call you Candace?
Do you think the term anti-Semitism is running the risk of falling into that same trap that we say around things like calling people a Nazi and a racist, where now people are having thoughts or opinions that maybe they haven't had critical thinking or challenge come their way, and you call them an anti-Semite, and it just entrenches them further? Because I think a lot of people that I see are just being very easily led down a pathway of thinking without really looking at what's underpinning it, and then are saying things that are categorically anti-Semitic, unintentionally, like you say. And then once you slap the label on them, it sort of like just confirms that. They're like, oh yeah, well I am now because you've annoyed me now by insulting me, and I'm going to go further down this track.
As opposed to engaging in the discussion
Yeah, 'cause you put a label on
and
them.
putting facts
Well,
in front of it. Is that
yeah.
I still would come back to be accurate. If you're being accurate and it's true, so be it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if someone is saying, well, I believe that the Jews are inferior as a race, and that, say, white blonde people with blue eyes are superior to the Jews, then that would be
All of us.
you would be expressing a Nazi
Yeah.
belief,
Yeah.
right, or sentiment.
Yeah.
So to me, if that's accurate historically, then you can use that label. Does it advance the sort of dialogue, the conversation, the debate? If you start using labels like that about an individual, well, it becomes more kind of ad hominem, right?
Yeah.
But you can still call what they're saying, reminiscent of the Nazis. You can say it's racially, bigoted and prejudiced, and it can be true.
Yeah.
I just think that, like, if people want to switch off because they hear a label used, and that's all it takes to switch them off,
No,
then they're not really engaging
get
with
it,
the
though.
argument. are they?
that is how sensitive people are now, to be honest.
Of course.
Like when people call us things, which happens often online,
Yeah.
I laugh first, and then I either respond or I ignore based on how legitimate their
Yeah.
assessment is. But I was talking to someone on the phone yesterday. I was telling you guys, and they accused me of being aggressive because I was speaking clearly.
Because you put the facts.
You're being direct.
Yeah. And I don't want to tell everyone who this
Yeah,
person
yeah,
was or
no.
like what sort of a
Yeah.
demographic they fit into.
Yeah.
But I wasn't surprised that they felt that way. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, look, I'm really sorry if you think I'm being aggressive. I'm not being aggressive.
Sure.
I'm asking you a direct question around why you haven't done X properly.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the job done.
Just trying to
and
get the job
I mean,
done.
You're
Look,
getting in your fields.
call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
If it's a pickaxe and you call it a spade, then you call that out. And if you don't like the fact that the spade is being called a spade, too bad.
Especially in a professional context. It's like it's not your wife you're talking to.
It wasn't my wife.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
Hold
Like,
on, what are you saying?
Yeah, Arian, tell
Are
us
you,
about
are
your
you
thoughts
saying
about...
that we should be direct and clear spoken?
you take a different approach when you're talking to.
So how do
to
you
a
feel
man.
about women, Arian?
I
What are you trying to
love
say to us?
All of them.
You love all the women. Well, it doesn't sound very
With
monogamous.
all
of
due
you.
respect, I love.
With all due respect, it's crazy.
I'm going back to the
Yeah,
subject
please
here.
save me. We cut this out. No.
I'm not cutting this.
But I think going back to that question of anti-Semitism.
I'm just laughing at my washing machine going off. Can I also just say, I was talking to someone last night. Before you go on, I don't want to
Talked to a
sidetrack us.
lot of people yesterday.
Bro, I was talking. Bro,
Yeah,
I'm
taxi
talking to
driver,
people,
you're
bro. I'm out
talking.
there. I'm
Good on
touching.
He's a man of the people.
I'm
Yeah,
kissing
well
babies.
done.
I'm talking to people. My
Yeah,
baby, mainly.
right.
No other babies. I've got a baby. I'm not kissing all the babies. I don't love all babies like Arian loves all women. But
You don't?
I'm out there. I'm talking to people. You know, I'm trying to get a temperature. What's going on? You know, and I was talking to a friend, and he goes, "Oh, the podcast is really good."
Yeah.
And he goes, and it's funny because you all look like you're in 3 different places. Because all of us have a different have quite a significantly different background, but we are all at my kitchen table. Just so
Yeah, I must say that your living area is very diverse.
I know,
Very diverse.
it's like our team.
It's multifaceted. It is.
It's like our immigration policy. It's so diverse, and we're back on track. There was look at that.
Look
Got us
at
back
us, segmentation.
That's clever.
there. Yeah, come on now. You were going to say
You want me to?
Yeah,
Okay.
no. What were you going to say?
Talk about
Well, no, just
anti-Semitism.
that I think that people largely they were actually tired of having to dance around an issue because of so-called landmines in language. I don't. There is a time and place for being more diplomatic. There's a time and place for being more sensitive because of the context and the situation. But if we're going to engage in proper discussion, debate, dialogue over stuff, then let's not waste too much time on pleasantries.
I'm smiling because I was going to tell another story about a conversation I had yesterday, but I'll
Please.
hold that one back.
No,
I'll hold that one back.
Okay.
But you know, when you're talking to someone and you know they're trying extra hard to be PC, or they're trying to soften a blow, or
Just say it.
I'm not a fan of that.
Just say how it is.
Say it how it is.
Just say it how it is.
Yeah.
Hey, just coming back to this question of, say, anti-Semitism or calling someone a Nazi, that kind of stuff. I think too that it also hinges a little bit on your view of human nature and what people are inherently like, or what they are, at sort of their most fundamental. To believe that there's a group of people that can never do any wrong, and then to believe that there's another group of people that basically only ever do wrong. That's part of the problem. And I in my view, having like been a student of history and having taught history as well, like my view is that the more history I read, the more I examine it, the more of a mixed bag it is, right?
Yeah.
That there are high points in a country's history or a people's history where they've done more virtuous, more noble things. And then there are times when they've done despicable things, heinous things. And then there are times when, on balance, there's both been going on. And to some degree, how did they set the tone? You know, what were the principles that as a people or as a nation, they decided were fundamental, were paramount? And then that kind of helped guide them for quite a while. You know?
So what you're telling me is oppressor, oppressed. You go back far enough.
I'm saying the
all
complete
history,
opposite.
all history, is just-
Complete opposite. Well, no, because, you know, this kind of postmodern concept around power and who has it and who doesn't isn't entirely wrong, right? It's just, it takes one aspect of history and just plays it to the extreme and excludes all else. And I think it's reductive, and it ignores all the evidence of history.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but it does so myopically, very selectively, because it's about wanting to advance a certain goal or agenda. And if you take that view that it's all about power dynamics, and you belong to the dispossessed, the disenfranchised group, then it's easy just to use that carte blanche to go and get whatever you want at any cost. Doesn't matter the means, right?
Yep. Your ends just.
It's a self-justifying kind of philosophy when you're in that position, and weirdly, it's been advanced by people who often didn't come from that oppressed group, but wanted to feel some kind of affinity or identify with an oppressed group. I don't know, because they didn't get on with their parents or something when they were growing up.
I just want to feel something.
Yeah, or they got bullied at school, and so now they have this complex that makes them feel like people like them aren't like them, and that they want to belong to another group that doesn't look like them.
And then they go on a flotilla and they get kidnapped by a foreign nation, and the MFAT told them not to. Nah, too close to home, mate. Too close to home. Glad to have them back. Hopefully they're paying taxes now. It's funny because Arian did send through a list of topics that we haven't touched at all.
No, we don't have to.
And you guys started this because I didn't even raise these topics.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's our it's our fault. It's our fault.
It is.
I just like to flow,
Just on this topic, I'm being very careful with the word notice because the anti-Semites have, I feel like, co-opted that word.
What do you mean notice?
Notice. So there's this thing going around being like a noticer, and so the anti-Semitic, like anti-Jewish sentiment is like, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. I just notice the trends of like who's in power and who's in authority. And there's been multiple times in this conversation where I've just wanted to use the word notice for other things, and I've just held my tongue, and I just wanted to raise that.
The word.
Well,
add it to the list.
yeah.
Abhorrent.
No,
Notice. Rhetoric. Honestly, that's the word that triggers me. Is rhetoric.
Rhetoric. I
Every
don't
time
like
someone
your
says
rhetoric.
that something that someone disagrees with, they're like, this sort of rhetoric. And it's like, brother,
Just
what are we on right now? Look, should we touch one of these topics? Let me have a look.
Yeah.
Before 16. This might be the only all-male conversation around before 16 that's ever happened.
dude, we need to put that photo
well,
up.
mate.
Because honestly, look, I just want to say, we are obviously all for child safety online,
Yes.
but I haven't seen any other very few people in the conversation who are speaking up about child safety while protecting freedom and privacy. I think we might be one of two groups.
Yeah.
There's one other person I've seen commentating, and they just happen to be another male. Everyone else advocating for the ban is female. And I think you can see it all through society. Women's natural instinct is to protect through, I don't want to say bubble wrapping, but like definitely swaddling and creating an environment where men are like, we're going to train you. We're going to help you to be resilient. Yeah. And that's what we're sort of talking about in a digital sense here, right? Nick is very uncomfortable right now because he's not
he can disassociate.
I'm just saying.
I'm not uncomfortable with it. I'm not saying I agree with it.
Okay, well, disagree with
please,
me.
I want
to
see this. This is good.
I think in one sense, I do agree. There is a temperament thing, a disposition thing that that women will typically be more protective or more maternal. Not that men won't be protective as well, but like you say, they will perhaps express it differently. On average, I think you can't completely stereotype like this, but
I've only got a broad brush.
Yeah,
it's the only one I carry.
I'll let
no
you
nuance.
That can be your signature move.
No nuance. Yeah, just
stereotyping. No, I would say though that that there are dads and men out there who are really worried too, right? So I agree with you, and I think you're not actually saying something different, but the level of concern is probably the same actually across males and females on this issue.
Yeah,
but it's how you deal with
the
it.
Solution is where
that's what you're saying.
The solution is where this divergence, because I should make that clear. The concern is real. The harm is realized out there in a sense. There's some people who would debate that though. I've talked to multiple people who say we can't prove there's harm online. So I think there is agreement around the concern across the male-female divide. It's the solutions that are different. Because I don't comprehend how people can say a broad ban is the best idea when we could work harder at specifically targeted solutions.
Sure. I mean, but also too how you apply a ban. If you leave it to parents to decide whether they permit, cell phones, social media use in their home, then that's still a ban, but you've just kind of decentralized the decision making, right? And it's what I believe in the right place, that those decisions are to be made, each family, according to what parents decide. That we don't need the government making a rule for everybody on this. That there's too much complexity to it and how to implement it. We've gone over those arguments before. I think though that I've lost my train of thought.
Ariane, what do you think about the before 16 bans, campaigns? How do you see it playing out? Is it possible?
I was talking to someone last night after an event, and she knew.
Someone.
See, I talk to people too. See, we're all talking to people. We're trying to get the word out there. And she came up to me yesterday, and she was like, this is a real issue, and because she knew the work we were doing. She said, this is a real issue, and things are happening. And she gave cases of things happening, and she said, I have a cousin who, when her 2 daughters turned 6, I think they were twins or something, she gave them a phone instantly at the age of 6. And in my head, I thought, okay, this is crazy.
Insane.
That's insane. Don't do that. And then she's like, the reason she did that was because she wanted to monitor and train and teach them the threats and worries and issues that are there. Now, should you give your child a phone at 6? I probably don't think so. But she said, look, this ban isn't going to work because, again, it gives us this false sense of security that we've dealt with it, and the parents are likely to think, look, we've dealt with it. But
in her defense,
yes,
if you're out at dinner,
what
are you going to do to keep that kid occupied?
The 6-year-old.
Let's be fair.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like on the parent.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those parents
we need
that
that
gets screen
6-year-old. We need that 6-year-old kept thoroughly occupied on a device, don't we?
But you're not going
I
to
don't know
give
if
them
this
a
is
phone.
sarcastic. I don't know what's happening.
You're not going to give that kid a phone, period.
But then we'd have to parent.
No, but I mean in general, giving a kid something to watch at dinner is way different than giving your 6-year-old twins phones.
Social media, yeah.
So that you could educate them.
No, I know that, and I'm guilty of having done this too.
Yeah, we're gonna
not giving phones at 6, but like devices sometimes when you're going somewhere or doing something.
Let's launch the investigation into Nick's parenting for a second.
I will say there are
Who's to
5
say there
children,
won't be,
5 children represented. This is not childless men speaking.
Between, Do you have some that we don't know
Oh,
about?
as in, that's not all childless. Well, I know a lot of children.
Mate, you're not, mate, me and Nick are putting in work, mate.
Well, you know.
Look, we're not.
You
we're,
are putting
we're
in work.
not. We're going to treat you like David Seymour, the way he's treated by the journalists who
Yeah.
looking at this question, right?
Look, as
Which I
David-
think is a totally unfair thing to do.
you know,
Yeah, sure.
sure.
You've got more skin in the game in the sense that you're having to do this daily as a parent, but no, the principles are true, right? The evidence is there. And
No
it's a
one,
question of
no
whether-
one would ever say that to a female as well. In fact, when Trump said it about Kamala, he got absolutely smoked in the media.
She doesn't have children.
She's got stepchildren. She's got a stepdaughter.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, she's gonna run for president. She's gonna run for president again. Hey, to all of
I'm
our
kidding, I'm
to all
kidding.
of our step parents out there, you're doing a great job.
You're not
You
a
might not
step.
be the biological parent, but you're the parent that stepped up, and we're
I was
really
gonna
proud of
say
you.
that. That's why-
And Arian does not represent the views of the
We
show.
apologise.
We
on
apologise.
Arian's behalf.
They just cut me out. Just censored me out.
And Arian has got stepdad energy, so answer to
Is
that.
that a good thing?
No.
So anyway, on this point, I do think that we.
Stop doing that. It's gonna come through the microphone. I'm gonna tell you off in a second.
I do think
Dad.
that we've got a difference in terms of the feminine and masculine
Yeah.
to some degree, and I would say that that's borne out from evidence when it comes to things like exposure therapy. You know, like do you as a parent believe that your kid needs to be gradually exposed to the actual thing that they could be afraid of or that could be harmful, so they can build up some resilience and tolerance and learn how to navigate that situation. I mean, it could be like, you know, how do you teach your kid to, you know, deal with the rough and tumble of physical play? Do you let them play like, you know, rugby when they're young? You know, now a lot of mums, and I don't say this about all mums, but a lot of mums are more hesitant to let their kids sign up for rugby. They would rather they played, say, soccer or something. Whereas more dads would be like, no, it's good for them. You know, and obviously we're not going to throw them out there without maybe some headgear or something because, you know, now we know about the
more
human
brain
brain
injury,
and the damages that can occur. And it's not that there isn't a concern or there isn't a recognition of the problem. There are different ways of dealing with it. And I think your point, so this is really what you were saying at the start, right? That there may just be a different way of trying to approach this problem.
Yeah, totally. You've
Or
done
is
a good
it?
job at
Have I
tidying.
put words in your mouth?
No, you are, and you've helped me to probably get to another point, which I want to articulate really clearly, is that we do need
Solutions.
Well, no, we need both perspectives represented in society. It's not a man can fix it all, woman can fix it all type of issue. It's like I think male and female working together represent a really holistic approach to a lot of these solutions. But at the moment, I do think there's one side being overrepresented. Represented is not a word. I think there's one side being overrepresented, and that was my point, I suppose. Is all the people leading this conversation, mums and women, and they're amazing people. I went to a talk from one of them, and I didn't disagree with everything that she said, and she never once brought up state control. And I agree with everything she said.
Are you saying that the men are just kind of falling into line?
Well, I just don't think that they're leading on the issue. You know what I mean?
They're not informed.
Okay, help me understand this then. Are you arguing for a more graduated approach so that, you know, a bit like exposure therapy, a little bit of interaction with digital media, like social media, for instance, at a particular age, and that you gradually kind of build up to a situation where there's more freedom for that young person. But obviously you're not going to give them access to everything.
Yeah.
You're not going to give them free reign on the internet at the age of 6. You shouldn't.
Unless you're that lady that we heard about.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But you're not likely going to do that. But there might be some digital kind of literacy skills that you're developing.
Absolutely.
The ability to navigate some sites that are permitted. What they do with that, of course, is a matter of trust and building up.
Parents should be in charge of their child's access and activity to the online platform in line with their evolving capacities as children. They should be the people who set that standard.
Which is a pretty standard model in education for, you know, intellectual development, right?
Yeah.
That you don't expect a kid to know how to navigate certain problems and environments at certain developmental stages. That there's a more likely kind of stage in maybe a couple of years' time where they could handle this particular type of problem.
And realistically, how do we think that children, like, because here's the other extreme: cut your children off from the technological world, don't allow them to get onto it until they're 18, and then they are stunted in a sense when they get to university and they're expected to have this digital literacy,
Right?
Especially with how fast things are evolving with AI and social platforms, and the world is going to be super different by the time my 6-year-old is 16.
Right.
So who knows if this conversation will even be relevant by then? But we need to have it now in order to protect freedom and privacy as well.
Yeah. I mean, is there a moral argument that we can make here that might be equivalent to the driving analogy? Like,
Kids can't drive.
or
when
is,
they're-
yeah. So can we use the driving analogy as in you get a license at, say, 16, and up until that point, you're only ever a passenger. You can't even be supervised, in fact. So that's a really clear case of here's suddenly an opportunity to do something. Yeah, we still scaffold it. We still kind of have training wheels effectively in that you have to have supervision as you're learning in those early stages. Is that an equivalent argument?
It's one
It's
aspect.
been used. It's been used for those who want the ban.
It's
for under
one
16s.
aspect of the argument. And this is the thing. This is bigger than just child safety.
Yeah.
This is freedom and privacy. So sure, in the child safety aspect, great. You're 16, you can get your license, and then you drive with a supervisor, you get restricted, and then you fall. And that makes sense in that scenario. But imagine now if every single person who drives, when they go get in their car, they also have to log on and prove that they're over 16 for their car to start. They have to register where they're going, how they're going to get there, what they're going to do while they're there, how long they're there. That's the other side of the argument that we're not talking about right now, which is freedom and privacy. So it infringes on everybody's ability to use social media and online platforms before it protects children. We all have to surrender personal information before protection kicks
So
in.
we need to think of that as a wholly separate argument in one sense, don't we? Like, yeah, there's some connections there, but we could debate that just on its own merits as a separate topic to some degree. I guess what I'm wondering about is whether we keep getting drawn into this question of, this false sort of false dilemma of, not false dilemma. Well, it's something of a straw man argument, really, isn't it? We're not saying that social media doesn't come with all kinds of risks and some serious harms. What we're saying is how do we best manage that?
And if the answer is the state, well, then I would also say to these people, these are the same people who are saying the state should be involved in saying, Oranga Tamariki is not doing a good enough job.
Yeah.
Where has the state done an effective job with children? Education is bad.
Sure.
Crisis services are bad.
Sure.
So why is now the state the right answer to solving the social media problem?
But we wouldn't go so far as to say that everyone has to homeschool. The state doesn't even have any role to play in offering secondary education, primary education.
Well, but there has been a big pushback in that conversation around the reintroduction of charter schools.
Sure.
Because
But
I think
the state
more,
still has some involvement there.
yeah, but I think a lot of people, especially a lot of parents, would come and say, actually, on the evidence of the last few years, I am more in favor of homeschooling than I've ever been. And what it is for me is an ability and a capacity thing.
Yeah.
If I was more financially stable and I had the ability, I probably would homeschool my kids, is what a lot of people would say. And I think you'll see the uptick in charter school applications and attendance, people going to charter schools, and that will show the vote of confidence in state education. I think confidence in state education is super low, which is reflected in attendance, performance, people feeling like, I know
But it
David
hasn't
Seymour.
always been.
But
so
I
I
think
would
that's because
argue-
at the start it wasn't clear what state education was going to produce, but now we know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I went through state education, private education, home education at one point. So I've had a taste of all of those sorts of approaches, and I would say that historically there have been high points for the state system. There have been high points for private schools, and then with home education, depends on how good you are as a teacher. With your own children,
for sure. All the curriculum that you implement, right?
Exactly.
There's multiple options.
So I think these things can be good as long as people have a proper perspective on what it is that they're there to do as educators, whether it's in the state, private, or home settings.
But I would just want to say as well, your ability to go between those three systems of state, private, and home
Reflect our freedom.
reflect the freedom and the choice, right?
Sure.
But when it's implemented that there's only one option, it's a monopoly.
I agree.
And this one gate and this one moderator who would be effectively the state, that removes freedom of choice.
And that's
right?
why we've taken the stance that we have.
Yeah.
Right. So my question more is around not so much the that we've kind of got. Maybe we've got a bit bogged down in this question, which isn't really even a debate.
Yeah.
And that is that social media has harms. What are you going to do about it? We agreed that social media comes with huge risks and huge dangers.
Yeah.
We're
We're not debating that really, though.
Yeah, but I would say we have got bogged down there to agree. I think we've
No, I
gone
don't
past
think
that.
we've been bogged down, but I think people keep trying to challenge us on that. And we're saying, but we're not disagreeing that there are.
Yeah, it's not about that. Yeah.
It's the solution, yeah. It all comes back to the solution, which I suppose brings us back to the start is we do need to have both sides of that coin of maternal and fraternal natured solutions.
Yeah.
But I do, the Ari and you wrote that piece the other week that said, how can we raise digitally literate children by locking them out of the digital space?
You know, just there's one analogy perhaps that you could use here, which is, in a way is actually, I don't even know if it's really an analogy, but more a sort of a earlier form of this type of debate. You know, public television stations were really all we had up until about the early 90s or late 80s. And then we started getting private channels as well. But the whole classification system, the whole censorship sort of regime that we had in this country was a one size fits all because we were all receiving our TV media in the same way. What was interesting though is that you could still watch a movie privately, you know, on your VCR, on your in your home, and it wasn't through a public network. There were rules around, you know, could you hire that movie from the video store?
I miss video stores. I was literally thinking about this the other day. I
Sorry,
miss video
guys,
stores so
this
much.
is very generational.
Have you ever been to a video store?
Oh, like twice, I think, when I was 8 or something. Yeah.
Because
That's
in
crazy.
Iran, they would have.
I don't think, not, it was in New Zealand.
Right.
But not in, I don't think
Anyway.
we had video stores in.
Blast in the past.
I would love to go to an Iranian video store, by the way.
But what I was going to say is that the system meant that if you watch TV, it was filtered by a state, you know, program, right?
Yeah.
By a state regulatory system, and to some degree, hiring videos from the video store also required ID. You had to prove if you wanted to rent an R16 that you had to be old enough.
I would never do that.
Yeah. So, but once you got home, you could show that content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And there were times when I would go to like my friend's house where there was a bit more liberal as to what you were going to watch. Because I knew at my home, the first question would be, hold on, what rating is that?
Yeah.
If I was watching something on TV. And so going and seeing that in a more relaxed, you know, family environment where they didn't care about that stuff so much, that was my way of seeing it. Now, lots of homes will be like that, where they don't do that. So we haven't really taken care of, in many cases, the exposure issue, which means that there's still going to be a lot of parental regulation or lack of regulation.
And the other dynamic in there is that was the way it was for a long time because of accessibility and probably the complexity of the internet. When pirating showed up, right? Now you can get whatever you want anywhere you want without showing any ID, right? So this now system that we've set up for control, in a sense of quality control, to make sure that people aren't accessing certain things if it's inappropriate for them, there's now a bypass and it's unregulated, unfiltered, like anyone can access it. It pops up a black market. It's exactly what's going to happen with the social media stuff as well.
For sure.
Like in the UK, they've had over a 1,000% increase in VPN sign-ups. Honestly, I haven't had enough coffees today. I've slurred my words so many times. But I hear what you're saying. It is a relevant example, and I do miss video stores. I was thinking about getting into the civic video business myself recently. Just a bit of nostalgia. Probably would fail very quickly. But yeah, look, before 16, there's solutions that we can implement that empower parents, that digitally educate teachers, parents, children, and that target enforcement on actually illegal harms that we know and clearly defined in the law, even though there's some people out there who don't believe in clearly defined laws.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, good on them. God bless them. Yeah. It's an interesting conversation, and hopefully we have this. We're meant to have a meeting with the minister. Well, she's not a minister, she's an MP. We're meant to meet with Catherine. Been fobbed off twice. Yep. Not her fault. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Not her fault. But hopefully have that meeting next week and we can bring some clarity to the people around how they actually see this being implemented, how they see it working.
There's a huge amount of detail missing from
the
this bill.
Well, even in the introduction of the bill, it says, you know, we're going to part of the purpose of this bill is to ban social media for under 16s. It's also here to promote the use of education so that people can have a better relationship with social media.
But there's really no description of what.
And then
that
you read
second
the
part
bill.
is.
You read the bill, and there's nothing that mentions education or getting civil involvement or civil liberties or civil society organizations involved to educate people.
So it's just assumed that people would sort of naturally do those things.
Yeah,
like education.
Do you know what's funny?
Yeah.
It's like it assumes that people will educate themselves, but it doesn't assume parents will parent their children.
In my head, I was like,
I know.
did you just forget?
The internal logic is flawed. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but Yeah.
What it is, and this is the thing, it's lazy legislation. They've seen what's happening overseas, like December 10 when
That
Australia
sounds
kicks
so
in.
nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Child safety online. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, exactly.
Only
Like, thanks, that was
psychopaths
really
don't
creative.
want that.
To be honest with you, I don't think this is New Zealand trying to be a world leader. I think
No.
it is New Zealand looking at Australia having bitten the bullet first, and then gone, well, you know what? The Aussies did it first,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't go right, if we stuff it up here, we could just say, well, the Australians did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and we were just trying to respond to public concern. If the Australians can't get it right, then you know
It
can't
won't-
really
it
blame
won't-
us either.
Yeah.
It won't deal with the problem.
No, yeah. Being a world leader, I've heard so many times, oh, we're going to lead. We're not leading anything. We're falling into the same traps that all these other people are falling into. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, there goes that line again. Talking to someone the other day, and they are like, the only place that something like this has worked is China. And I was like, that's a good point.
Because
Pretty good
standard-
point.
Take your pick.
The meaning of worked,
yeah,
has
exactly.
very different connotations. Yeah, I do think that we're prone to this fallacy that just because we did it first meant it was right. The fact that was true for Kate Shepherd and the suffragettes in the 1890s, with getting
Different.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're okay with women voting, eh?
getting universal suffrage.
Yeah, I don't mind women voting at all.
You don't mind it, or you support it?
No, I don't mind it at all.
You
I
don't
support
mind it
it.
or you support
I
it?
support.
Let's be clear.
I support women voting above the age of 18.
So you're ageist.
I am
Wow.
incredibly
Really,
ageist.
what you're saying is you're okay with people voting.
Yeah.
age of
So
18.
what even is a woman? Yeah, who
Don't
take
get
us
baited
there.
by this.
Don't
guy.
take us there.
Nathan
Don't take
will-
us there.
Nathan
No.
will-
Whoa,
think-
whoa! Hey!
I have heard though the giving women the right to vote in New Zealand wasn't about giving women the right to vote. It was about a policy measure. It was to deal
There we go.
with drinking in New Zealand because women were more likely to vote in a way that reduced the harms of drinking and alcohol and get men in line.
Yeah, so
that's what I've heard. I
Hey,
don't know.
hey, Kate Shepherd, if you're hearing this, Arian said stuff you.
No,
Arian
it's
said-
not about that.
No, good
It's
try.
just- I think it's just.
I think people have.
It was
I
more
think
of a
people
policy
have-
measure.
I don't think that people have portrayed that honestly in the
Okay,
sense that
I might be wrong.
that the Christian Women's Temperance Union, which is sort of the movement
Yeah.
that was behind it, that Kate Shepherd came from, were trying to deal with the social evils of mass drunkenness.
Yeah.
And that there were huge issues around domestic abuse and
Yes.
people basically failing to turn up to work
Yeah.
because they were so drunk.
Yeah.
And it was largely a male problem. And so one of the arguments they made, but one of the arguments, not the only argument,
Right.
was that basically if the society was going to continue to function or try and deal with these problems, that the adults in the room, women
Woman.
who weren't going out and getting drunk,
Respect.
needed to be allowed to actually have a say.
Fantastic.
Because it's like, why would you have guys that aren't even sober turning up and claiming the right to vote when you've got women who are trying to hold it all down at home, trying to be the responsible person who denied that right.
I just
There
want to
we
put it
go.
out there,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
mate. It got uncomfortable when I brought up the whole male-female thing. Then you brought it up, and it's all good. Like, what is this double standard? You know?
It's just
What
the
is
tone.
this?
It's the tone.
It's
the
the tone.
unloved.
It is the tone. You did present it a lot
I
better
guess
than
what I
me.
would say is I'm not tone deaf.
Oh, here we go. No, look,
no,
we know the person in your marriage who is an excellent singer is not you. I've never heard you sing, but I just
I
heard
love
that.
it when people compliment my wife and give me a backhand at the same time. Sure, you could have just gone, she's a great singer. I agree.
I haven't heard her. I just have to take your word for it. You told me while she's doing her singing, you're at McDonald's.
Listen, 30,000 people at Mystery Creek heard her sing.
Let's
Wow.
go. Let's go.
So,
That's
and
incredible.
actually, she had a #1 single in New Zealand at the age of 16.
Is it on Spotify?
It was on the Christian music charts, but
That's awesome.
Is it on Spotify still?
That's a
That's
chart.
still a lot of
That's a
people.
chart.
yeah. No, it was before Spotify.
Yeah. Is it anywhere we can hear it? Do you have a copy?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's
Send
awesome.
it through.
Play for it.
probably
We should
on,
use it as an
YouTube.
intro to the podcast. Would she like that or would she hate that?
She'd kill you. I don't mean that metaphorically. She would kill you.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, look,
Gentlemen.
I think that just my final thought on this under 16 social media ban.
Yeah.
The reality is that anyone who cares about kids, who cares about being a good parent, is going to be very concerned about where we're heading with our social media environment. It's already like causing major issues, and these are long-term problems that we're going to have to be helping our young people with. Therefore, it's not a fair or sort of like sincere thing to characterize people like us who are saying, hold on a second, let's not rush to a ban when we haven't really thought through the complexity of this problem. And I think, just to those out there who want to try and characterize us as these kind of like, I don't know, who cares, anarchist kind of, just let it run and see what happens.
We hate kids.
Yeah. Just let the internet do whatever it wants. That's a gross misrepresentation of who we are. That's not at all what we think. The question is, what kind of major harms and risks have we opened ourselves up to if we follow through on a ban, which has really given very little thought to the complexity of this problem?
Oh, that's generous. Zero thought. Very little is very generous.
Yeah,
It's
as
zero.
far as we can see, there's very little detail, very little explanation as to how this would work.
Yeah. No. Well, look, it's a big issue. I think leading into December, we'll see if the rumors are true that it is just the first step into digital ID. We'll keep tabs on that. I wasn't convinced until I heard Judge David Harvey say that, and then I was like, well, this guy, if he's saying,
look,
he's the man.
a former judge, a legal specialist in the
he
field
knows.
of IT, right?
And not just an expert in law, but expert in the digital space.
Yes, that's right.
Like he that's his literal
Bread and butter.
expertise.
He's lectured on this, at tertiary level. So,
If he's saying it, it's pretty hard to dispute.
yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we actually, we didn't even get through like any topics,
all right.
but I think we had a great conversation. And look, I appreciate you guys.
I think the other topics sort of just opened us up to a huge amount of criticism.
Like these, because these ones weren't.
What were we going to talk about? Arian wanted to talk more about women's rights. He also wanted to talk about. Arian wanted us to
My
discuss.
worst enemies right here.
I love the way we defame you every week.
Yeah. I'm just
This is
here
great.
punching
Like,
bag,
just
but
completely
it's
misrepresenting
You have to have a reputation to be
Like,
defamed.
I do I?
What we've done is we've created a reputation out of thin air,
An illusion.
completely undeserved on your part. But
Nah, let's
My time will come.
Let's finish up before he does a slow outro. Also, one nice thing about Arian.
Oh no, please.
Do you wanna go first
I'm
or
just
something?
gonna. I'll finish.
No.
Let me
Arian,
finish it.
I
Up.
love the way
thank you.
that you.
See, now I
You're
ruined
making
it.
it
I was
hard for me
getting-
right now. You're making it really hard for me. By
breaking
doing that.
everything. So
Arian,
look, please.
I
don't do
love
this.
the way
Thank you guys.
that you react to all of my messages with emojis because it makes me feel seen.
Oh, I do. I do.
You're very good like
yeah,
that.
Thank you.
Nick, anything?
I would just say that I wish I had the healthy eyebrows. That
I
you
knew. I knew it. I actually knew it. I knew it was gonna be. Eyebrows.
Oh,
Look,
have.
please
we can't all,
comment
but-
about my eyebrows in the comment section.
comment about themselves.
Yeah, they do. They don't need anyone to say anything. Thank you. I appreciate both of those words.
Right, roll the slow outro. Let's
All
go.
right, slow outro. Thank you all for watching, listening. Great to be. I felt like I was listening for the last little while, and as a listener, I really enjoyed the conversation. So
Did
thank
we
you.
leave you out?
That's
no,
just
that's
underhanded
not.
way of
no,
saying
yeah.
you didn't talk to me.
No,
you
no, no.
bastards. You didn't,
that is
you
not.
didn't include
See,
me.
There's no
Speak
winning
up,
here.
mate. Speak up.
No, I genuinely I was enjoying it.
I can watch your
I-
face back in all of this
Please,
footage.
no, please
if
do
you
watch.
look like you're not enjoying it.
No, please do watch because I genuinely was like, this is good.
That's good.
And I felt like this is good. So this is good. So thank you all for
you go,
watching.
people.
Say it one more time and we'll believe it. Say it one more time. Is it good?
It is very good.
Come on, mate. This
Thank
is
you all
this
for
is
watching.
slow-mo.
Thank you for listening. Stay in touch. Stay in tune.
Look
Stay
down the
tuned.
barrel. Look down the barrel. Tell them what you want them to do.
We'll see you very soon. Oh, like obviously, but also join our mailing list because that's where everything happens. So thank you all.
Amazing. Hey, that was great. That was a great
thank
outro,
you. Hey, we're
mate.
getting there.
That was good.
Third time.